I shot a film in the Arctic Circle in Norway about the Northern Lights. So to back it up a little bit, I want to talk about, what this is. It's a documentary that I wanted to shoot for myself. It was a passion doc, essentially. And I wanted to shoot this for two reasons. Essentially, one, I wanted to get more work under my name, kind of build to my resume. I'm always trying to add to my resume in fun ways. But also the second side of things, I'm a firm believer of life experiences and doing things and being spontaneous and just like jumping on it. And that's what this was. This was myself, my girlfriend, my really close friends, all going to somewhere in the middle of nowhere in a place none of us thought we'd ever end up, and just having these life experiences that we're gonna hold on to forever. Backing up about a year ago from right now, it all started with me talking to my girlfriend Olivia about the Northern Lights. And I was like, they're freaking sweet. How have you not seen them? We need to see them. What if we saw them? What if we went to like Alaska and saw them? And then I was like, let's make a film about the Northern Lights. And then here we are now sitting at my desk drinking coffee in hindsight of such an amazing trip to Norway to shoot the Northern Lights. So I kind of want to talk about the steps that it took to get to this point that we're at now, because it's not easy. It's a very difficult thing. It's an expensive thing. But since I love these life experiences, I love this travel, I was like, I'm gonna do this for me. I'm gonna make this film for me to look back on, for my friends who were there to experience it and look back on it. So backing up a little bit, I spent a lot of time overcomplicating what this film was gonna be. I was trying to make it something that it wasn't. Now I do wanna say that with shooting documentaries like this, things can change right away. This whole story can be flipped on its head, forcing you to recreate the story on the fly, and I know that. So I kind of created this structure, this like skeleton foundation of what this film story is going to be, and then came up with, specific themes or looks that I wanted, but not necessarily a script or storyline. So there was room for this flexibility, but I knew the few solid things that I did want. So I wanted to transition into the pre-production and what that looked like. The first thing I did was just start to develop an idea for what I even wanted this to look like. I started to get inspiration videos and, themes and screenshots of like the visual image, but also the organization and kind of the flow of this story. So once I began to gather a lot of this inspiration, the screen grabs and all of that stuff, I knew I needed to be organized. So to stay organized, I want to segue into the sponsor for today, Milano, which quite frankly, I would use Milano either way. Yes, they did sponsor it, but I love it. And if you don't know what Milano is, essentially it's a digital tool to just help you organize everything for your planning for your project. So it's pretty much like a large whiteboard on your computer just to gather all of your inspiration or the logistics or your planning. So I'll show you how I use it in my project, how I used it in this specific Norway project. And starting from scratch stresses me out with these boards. I don't know about you. So I use the film pre-production template to get me started on this, to get me this look. So you can see here, I've got, say my inspiration. We were just talking about the inspiration. Let's go into this aesthetic mood board, because I knew, again, it's the skeleton of the project of what we're shooting, but I knew that I wanted to grab stuff that looked like this. So you can see that when we're out experiencing the Northern Lights, I kind of want stuff to look like this, or when we're adventuring during the day, want it to look like that, or when we're planning during the day. So it's a great way to accumulate all of your inspiration or your references into one board that's easy to access, whether that's for yourself to look back onto. For me, this was great to reference when I was there in Norway. And I also used it for planning the script or any scratch notes that I had, any miscellaneous ideas that I had. It's just easy to add in a note document. And more than just inspiration, I used it for organizing kind of key scenes that I would want, or kind of a basic structure of the storyline that was going on. Things like us meeting up, us organizing gear. I knew that was important. I wanted to add in some humor, reactions, etc. Or it's great for scratch notes or just planning anything out. And you can get Milano for free, so I will leave everything down below for you to go sign up and use Milano and make your life just a little bit easier. So alongside the planning, I also needed to figure out, gear and plan out what I needed for gear. And I was thinking what cameras are great for the job? And I knew that we needed reliable autofocus in the field, and we were shooting at night a lot of the time. So I was like, I need a good camera with low light and autofocus capabilities. So we had two Sony FX3s and one Sony a7 IV were the three cameras that we used on this, and then all Sony glass as well. We wanted fast glass, like a 1.8, 1.4, stuff that's going to be really bright in the night sky to do our best to capture the northern lights in real time, which they did. So when you're planning stuff like this, it's important to ask yourself what's the right gear for the job. And no, I didn't own all of this. I owned some of it, but I also rented a lot of gear because I knew renting is going to be a lot cheaper than buying all of these lenses and cameras. So utilize renting gear as much as you can because it saves you a lot of money when it comes to passion projects like this. And the fun part about shooting a passion project on your own is that you get to be the producer, meaning that you need to book all the flights and the lodging and all of that stuff, which isn't fun. But I did do that alongside all of the pre-production and planning, and I just used, for those who are curious, Google Flights for everything. There's probably a better option that's out there, but I used Google Flights, and it was tough. We had to go from Salt Lake City to Amsterdam, where we all met up, and then from Amsterdam we stayed the night, and then the next day made it up to Oslo, Norway, and then to Buda, Norway, and then to Leknes, Norway. So it was a long travel day, and it took us forever to get there. And then we stayed at, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, but Salzden Brigge. Salzden Brigge? I was there for a week and I have no idea. But it's adorable. It was in such a cool like fishing town area where it was just so isolated and nobody was there. It wasn't like a touristy spot at all. It just felt like we dove into the culture of Norway. But all of it was worth it. Every single penny, every single minute spent, it was all worth it for this experience because it was quite possibly the time of my life. I loved every second of it. Oh, hold on. It's time to Be Real. Do you guys use Be Real? I had to be on time. Anyway, if you've got a passion project that you've been thinking of doing for a while, all I'm gonna say is it was worth it. And don't overcomplicate things as well. I mean, I spent so much time in the beginning, pre-stages, overcomplicating it and making it just like seem like it needed to be so much bigger than it was. And it was really overwhelming. But really, once I just, put my whole thought and heart into it, it made it a little bit less overwhelming. So I guess I'm gonna leave it with that. And I don't know when this is gonna be live in public for you guys to see. It's not even done being edited yet, but I can't wait for you guys to see it. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this, me rambling, and well, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.